You are invited to participate in a true multimedia experience coming to a home near you. LCM TV is bringing Lake County into the new millennium with news, live broadcast, information, music, talk shows, and local programming, all streaming in high definition online and soon to be on your Roku box. Join us at lcm-tv.com or be a part of our studio audience. You can also watch the shows at lakecomagazine.com as we provide programming to inform, enlighten, and maybe even enrage you. On Lake County Magazine Talk Show with Terry and Pete the Tax Guy, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Like racing? Try the Checkered Flag Show, hosted by Ace Naylor on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All ages and divisions in regional and national fills. Joni Lane brings a positive light to you every Monday at 3 p.m. Pasha Space brings an international flair as they discuss ecological, health, and social issues in Haiti with people around the world. End up your week with positive, conscious sounds on Saturday at 9 a.m. with Sister T on the Bridge. This show is also simulcast on KMEC 105.1 FM in Ukiah. Our latest show, LCM TV News, is brought to you live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon, and rebroadcast at 6:30 p.m. and noon daily, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, featuring national, regional, and local news, weather, and sports. We have it all here for you on your local TV station, LCM TV. Join us online and soon on Roku, giving you access to all the best Lake County has to offer. We are LCMTV.com, your multimedia connection. Tune in for the fun. It's live TV at its best.
Welcome to LCM News at Noon. We're not your normal news. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger.
And we have a late breaking story here. According to Al Jazeera, the Afghan parliament has been attacked by Taliban fighters in Kabul with a series of explosions and gunfire forcing politicians to evacuate. At Al Jazeera's Jennifer Glass, reporter from Kabul, said 5 people were killed in addition to 7 fighters who launched the attack on Monday. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the raid, which injured at least 21 people, including 5 women and 3 children. About 2 hours after the initial explosion, police declared the operation has ended, with 7 attackers being killed, including a suicide car bomber. Suicide bombers have attacked outside the parliamentary building, she said, adding that gunfire continued to be heard for more than an hour after the first explosion. There are burning cars outside the building. A police source at the scene told Al Jazeera that the attack apparently started with a suicide car bomb exploded outside the parliament. Attackers then continued the attack, firing from a building under construction across the street. Police said at least 3 police officers were injured in the attack, along with others outside the building who could not be reached. Local news organizations reported that at least 6 explosions were heard in the vicinity of the parliament. Glass, who was watching the parliamentary proceedings on TV at the time of the attack, said that the parliamentary speaker was at the podium when the video camera started to shake. We heard 2 loud explosions and people heard gunfire, adding that the politicians evacuated from the parliament. Right now, the parliament is empty and full of smoke. We will provide you more details that occurred at lakecomagazine.com. Louisiana authorities launched a massive manhunt Saturday for an arrestee who killed a police officer as he was being ferried to jail. New Orleans police officer Darrell Holloway, 45, died after the suspect he was transporting grabbed a gun and shot him. Police said Holloway was driving Travis Boyce, 32, to the Orleans Parish Prison after Boyce had been arrested for aggravated battery and outstanding warrants. Boyce were handcuffed with his hand behind his back in the back seat of the police cruiser. Somehow Boyce moved his hand from behind his back to the front and obtained a weapon as well. He then made his way through an opening in the cage that separates the front and back seats of the police car and shot the officer. Department spokesman Tyler Gamble said police were trying to determine what weapon Boyce used and how he had obtained it, but do not believe Boyce used the officer's gun. The police vehicle then crashed into a utility pole and Boyce fled. Emergency medical teams arrived at the scene and found Holloway in the front seat with a gunshot wound. He was taken to a hospital where he died a short time later. The manhunt involved the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, the St. Tammany Sheriff's Office, and the U.S. Marshals Service. On Sunday, police arrested the man suspected of shooting and killing Officer Holloway. Boyes was arrested through tips received across the metropolitan area, which detailed the Dodge pickup truck Boyes was spotted in. Marshals pursued Boyes in the truck, then continued the chase on foot where he abandoned the vehicle and fled into St. Roche neighborhood. The suspect was still wearing parts of the broken handcuffs he had on when he escaped police custody on Saturday. He will be charged with first-degree murder of a police officer, aggravated escape and illegal possession of a firearm, as well as aggravated assault charges.
The leader of a white supremacist group that has been linked to Dylann Roof, the suspect in the murder of 9 African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina, church last week, has donated tens of thousands of dollars to Republican campaigns, including those of 2016 presidential contenders such as Ted Cruz, Rick Santorum, and Rand Paul, according to records. Cruz, a Texas senator, said Sunday night that he would be returning about $8,500 in donations that he had received from the Texas donor Earl Holt III, who lists himself as the president of the Council of Conservative Citizens. A manifesto that appeared on a website registered to Mr. Roof stated that the manifesto's author had first learned of the brutal black-on-white murders from the Council of Conservative Citizens website. Holt, in a statement posted online in his name, said he was not surprised to learn that Roof had found out about the black-on-white violent crime from his group because, he said, it was one of the few that had the courage to disclose the seemingly endless incidents involving black-on-white murder. But he said his group does not advocate violence and should not be held responsible for the shootings. The group is regarded by the Southern Poverty Law Center, a leading authority on hate crimes, as a white supremacist extremist organization that opposes, quote, race mixing as a religious affront and that vilifies blacks as an inferior race. Holt, who identified himself in some donation records as a Texas slumlord, has also given money to a number of other current and former Republican members of Congress, including Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona, Senator Rob Portman of Ohio, former Representative Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota, Representative Steve King of Iowa, and former Representative Todd Akin of Missouri.
New York State police troopers converged on Saturday on a spot near Friendship, New York, in the southwestern part of the state, where they believed a resident caught sight of 2 convicted murderers who staged an elaborate escape from the state's largest prison. The development appeared to bring investigators closer to finding the inmates than they had been in the 2 weeks since the men broke out of the maximum security prison with the help of makeshift dummies and power tools. Witnesses described helicopters buzzing over farm fields and homes, troopers stalking railroad beds, and residents being turned away from the town as the state police scoured the area under darkness. 2 people briefed on the manhunt said that a woman driving in the area on Saturday afternoon saw 2 men emerge from the woods near the railroad tracks. One of the men went back into the woods, while the other pulled a hooded sweatshirt over his head. The woman told investigators that one of the men had reddish hair, which fits the description of David Sweet, 35, who escaped from the prison 2 weeks ago with another inmate, Richard Matt, 48. Investigators found the woman's report credible. Late Saturday night, dozens of tips reported suspicious activity poured into the local police dispatchers. However, the Albany Times-Union reported that forensic evidence had been discovered indicating that either Richard Matt and David Sweet had recently been in the area 20 miles west of the Clinton County Correctional Facility in Dannemora, from where the 2 men were reported missing June 6. The evidence suggests that at least one of the men had broken into a home in the area of Owl's Head, east of the Titusville Mountain State Forest. WCAX-TV in Burlington, Vermont, reported that investigators had found DNA from one of the inmates in a cabin that had been broken into near the Sound of Saranac. The station also reported that a Vermont State Police tactical team had been mobilized to help track the men down.
10 people, including a 1-year-old girl, were injured after 2 suspects used a shotgun and possibly a handgun to open fire during a block party in honor of Father's Day on a West Philadelphia street Saturday night. The gunfire rang out around 10 p.m. when 2 men opened fire on the block. The suspects, according to witnesses, then got into a gold sedan and fired more shots, possibly with a handgun. Philadelphia Police Lieutenant John Walker stated that it looks like they just randomly fired down the street and hit anyone in their way. Investigators said a total of 10 people was struck with bird shot from the shotgun. Shotgun pellets struck Ashley, a 1-year-old girl, in the neck and chest, and the girl's mother was also shot in the arm. Gunfire also struck 11 and 12-year-old boys. All 3 children are in stable condition. The rest of the victims aged from age 29 to 59, 3 women and 4 men. All adult victims were also expected to make a full recovery. Shortly before the group was fired upon, a 21-year-old man was found less than a mile away with multiple gunshot wounds to the torso and head. He was pronounced dead minutes later at a local hospital. Police said the motive for the shooting is unknown, and there is no indication whether it might be connected to later gunfire.
And this next, and this next story kind of hits home to me. If money talks, it was the stacks of crisp $100 bills that spoke the loudest. An Indonesian smuggler said the Australian authorities had stopped his boat at sea and given him and his crew the cash, more than $30,000, to take his cargo of 65 migrants to Indonesia. The allocation, which the Australian government has not denied nor explicitly admitted, was the latest indication of a hardening of Australia's immigration policy under Prime Minister Tony Abbott, which critics say it has at times veered into illegality. If the boat captain's story is true, the incident may have violated Australian, Indonesian, and international laws against smuggling, bribery, and the treatment of asylum seekers. Australia is moving to ever more radical measures to avoid our international obligations, said Hugh de Crester. He's director of the Melbourne-based Human Rights Law Centre. But the world is watching. Even before the payment allegations which surfaced last week, international organizations and human rights groups had assailed Australia's policy of intercepting boats of immigrants at sea and turning them to Indonesia, or holding migrants indefinitely at offshore detention centers. This month, Australia flew 4 asylum seekers to Cambodia, the first transfer in a $31 million deal to resettle refugees in a country that Human Rights Watch says has been unable to integrate the refugees already there. The Australian government has also expanded its legal authority, passing a law in December giving it the power to hold asylum seekers indefinitely on the high seas and transfer them to any country the immigration minister chooses, even if the transfer returns a refugee to potential danger. Attitudes started to shift in the last decade, and by 2012, the number of migrants arriving by sea had risen to more than 17,000. Last year, at least 800 migrants were feared drowned at sea when their flimsy boats were dashed on rocks and reefs or sank after running out of fuel, and immigration became an emotional national crisis. There's really only one thing to do here, says Abbott in defending his policies last week, and that is we have stopped the boats. That's good for Australia, it's good for Indonesia, and it's particularly good for those who want to see a better world, because if the boats start again, the deaths will start again. We'll be right back with Regional News.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals, providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services. They feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
It's up to yours.
In regional news, crews working amid sweltering conditions in rough terrain have slowed the spread of a huge forest fire that's churning through the timber in a remote area of the San Bernardino Mountains. The U.S. Forest Service said Sunday that the blaze in old-growth wilderness east of Los Angeles is holding steady at 25 square miles. The fire is 15% contained as it pushes east towards the Mojave Desert. About 400 buildings, including old cabins, are threatened, but none have been lost. Meanwhile, a blaze that burned at least 2 homes near Santa Margarita, northeast of San Luis Obispo, has grown to 1.8 square miles. Helicopters were taking water from Santa Margarita Lake to dump onto the blaze, which is 15% contained. Several hundred residents were evacuated at the height of the fire Saturday afternoon. Here in Lake County, a fire broke out at Timberline Disposal in Lakeport on Thursday evening. temporarily shutting down a portion of Soda Bay Road. Over the weekend, there were several other fires in Lake County. One on Witter Springs Road, which is believed to have been caused by somebody mowing their lawn, another on Old Long Valley Road and Highway 20, one on the New Long Valley Road, Spring Valley exit and Highway 20, and one on Walker Ridge and Highway 20. Also, the last fire was Olympic Drive and Highway 53 in Clear Lake. All fires in Lake County have been extinguished at the time.
Authorities say a Southern California high school track and field coach was arrested on suspicion of possessing child pornography after authorities got a tip about an iPad he left in a return rental vehicle. City News Service reports that 57-year-old Raymond William Henry was arrested Friday in Laguna Niguel. Henry coaches at Trabuco Hills High School in Mission Viejo. Sheriff's Lieutenant Jeff Halleck says an information at a car rental business found an iPad that contained photos of naked females ages 11 to 13, as well as several photos of minor females wearing Trabuco Hills uniforms. The informant says the iPad was left in a vehicle returned by Henry.
A pickup pulling a trailer plummeted off the Highway 101 overpass at Todd Road on Friday in Santa Rosa, briefly dangling above the freeway until the trailer broke free and the vehicles crashed onto the highway below. In what a CHP spokesman called a miracle, the truck's driver and passenger escaped significant injury, and the truck and trailer did not hit any vehicles on Highway 101 when the vehicles plunged from the crossing just after 3 p.m., landing in the southbound lane. David Groth, the driver, who was surprised that he and his passenger, Ricky Tulos, 22, walked away with just a few cuts and scrapes. Tulos was still visibly shaken as he and Groth picked up their tools and carried them off the highway, where emergency crews worked to clear the dual-axle trailer, which was carrying a gutter machine and other equipment. Traffic was backed up for miles in both directions until crews cleared the southbound lanes of pickup, trailer, and construction debris. The men had been heading west on Todd Road when a Chevrolet 2500 pickup towing the 25-foot trailer, Groth said they had just finished a gutter job and were on their way to return the machine to a friend when a car in front of him on the bridge slammed on the brakes. Groth hit his brakes, but the trailer kept going. The brakes weren't sufficient to stop the movement from the trailer. The crash snarled southbound traffic during the afternoon commute, with backup stretching for miles for southbound motorists as well as northbound traffic, possibly due to the driver slowing to view the crash. The Todd Road overpass was closed to westbound traffic. The accident remains under investigation.
A long stretch of a Refugio State beach, heavily marred by crude oil spill, workers in hard hats and white protective suits used wire brushes and putty knives to scrape the black liquid off cobblestones and cliff faces. The painstaking task marks a new front in the cleanup after an underground pipeline leak last month and released up to 101,000 gallons of oil, about 21,000 gallons of which flowed into a storm drain, sullied the beach, and washed out to sea. Because the region is home to threatened shorebirds and cultural resources, a decision was made early on to clean oil-stained beaches the old-fashioned way by using hand tools instead of heavy equipment or chemicals. The environmental toll from the largest coastal spill in California's 25 years is still being tallied. There's no timetable for where the cleanup will end. The effort so far has cost at least $65 million, which is being paid for the Texas-based Plains All-American Pipeline. A heavily corroded section of the Plains 10-mile pipeline that moves oil from offshore rigs to inland refineries ruptured on May 19th, causing Sioux State beaches to close and prompting a fishing ban. One of the beaches, El Capitan State Beach, is set to reopen next week. Santa Barbara County is home to one of the largest naturally occurring oil seeps in the world, where thousands of gallons of oil ooze from cracks in the sea floor every day. The cause of the spill remains under investigation. Earlier this week, Plains completed flushing the idle pipeline, a process that should allow for more precise calculation of how much oil escaped.
Fire officials are taking stock of water resources typically tapped during large fires. Though municipalities have plenty of fire hydrants along the streets for fire engines to use, rural areas with little to no infrastructure force firefighters to rely on nearby water sources, but those resources are not available as they once were. With California entering its 4th year of drought, reservoirs are running low and lakes and ponds have shrunk considerably. We are monitoring the conditions as they change, and we dealt with this last year with certain wells running dry and water becoming scarce. As of Wednesday, the 12 major reservoirs throughout the state were 37% full on average, with the lowest hovering at 13% and the highest at 53%.
Marijuana regulatory bills by North Coast State Legislatures Senator Mike McGuire and Assemblyman Jim Wood have passed their respective houses and have been forwarded to the other side for consideration. The bills are now back in committee, but on the other side of the legislature. Bills can be rejected, amended, or adopted at this point. Any amendments must then be approved by the House of Origin before a bill can become law. The legislature can appoint a conference committee to help resolve conflicts. If both the Assembly and Senate pass the final bill, it will be forwarded to the governor for signature. The governor can sign the bill or veto it. SB 643. McGuire authorized SB 643, the Medical Marijuana Public Safety and Environmental Act. The bill passed the state Senate on June 4th and was forwarded to the Assembly for consideration. This would create a medical marijuana regulation office. This new office would issue and manage conditional licenses regulating the cultivation, transportation, manufacture, storage, distribution, and sale of medical marijuana. This office would set fees and regulatory requirements necessary to oversee the process statewide. The Act provides that persons will need a special license to grow medical marijuana, sell or provide medical marijuana to a patient or caregiver, or to deliver or transport medical marijuana to or from a licensed dispensary facility, unless otherwise authorized by the Compassionate Use Act. Licensing will require criminal background checks. Local communities will retain the ability to regulate where and if pot facilities will be authorized and will retain the power to assess local fees and taxes. It will prohibit local jurisdictions from interfering with licensed marijuana transportators with appropriate manifests from traveling through or delivering to a licensed facility. The Act would prohibit cultivation sites in areas zoned as residential and would notify law enforcement of any licensed sites. It will require all medical marijuana to be certified organic by January 2022 and to provide appellations of origin for all medical marijuana. It will authorize counties and cities to levy taxes on any and all aspects of medical marijuana. The new office will consider the feasibility of developing certified labs for testing medical marijuana and marijuana products, including a labeling requirement for edible marijuana products that include cannabinoid content. AB 243 would authorize AB 243, which passed the Assembly on June 3rd when it was forwarded to the state Senate for consideration. The bill expands the pilot program currently underway in the North Coast by the Department of Fish and Wildlife and the State Water Resources Control Board, assigned to respond to the damages caused by marijuana cultivation on public and private lands. The enforcement efforts will expand statewide to reduce the adverse impacts of marijuana cultivation on water quality and fish and wildlife throughout the state. The bill requires indoor and outdoor medical marijuana cultivation to be conducted in accordance with state and local laws related to land use, water use, electricity use, water quality, woodland and riparian habitat protection, agricultural discharges, and similar matters. The bill would require legal medical marijuana cultivators to obtain a state or local license specifying the number of plants. The licensing authority may charge an administration fee. All cultivation sites will be required to comply with water conservation measures, site operation plans for fuel storage and maintenance, stream crossings and growing pads, and fertilizer and pest control. The bill would limit the maximum number of plants at any site to 99 and prohibits growing within 100 feet of a home or school, but authorizes a city or county to increase this distance up to a mile.
After Grandma broke her hip, the doctor prescribed the painkiller Percocet, but it made her nauseous, anxious, and irritable, common side effects. So the family sought an alternative and found that a CBD-rich tincture quelled her pain, insomnia, and anxiety. Grandma is putting on weight again, the caregiver said. Care by Design's tiny spray bottle of CBD-rich whole plant extract exemplifies the new trend in lab-tested extracts light years ahead of the federal cannabis research blockade. Their 18-to-1 CBD to THC tincture is a highly therapeutic, largely non-psychoactive liquid extract made from organic medical-grade cannabis. Patients are using these cannabidiol-rich tinctures to avoid anything resembling smoking pot while accessing CBDs to treat a myriad types of pain, inflammation, and mood issues. Amid the CBD craze, California's Caribide Design stands out for their credentials and quality. They use organic, pesticide, and mold-free high CBD cannabis flowers sourced locally, not derived from mysterious overseas industrial hemp. 1 to 2 sprays under the tongue usually take effect in 15 minutes to 1 hour. It has a very pleasant, ultralight medical coconut oil taste. Patients with PMS report using CBD tincture for intractable cramps. The most common side effect is a mild drowsiness.
The Eel River Recovery Project is offering free field training and public meetings to promote sustainable cannabis cultivation in the Eel River watershed. The event will cover the best ways to water gardens with the least amount of water and nutrients, ERRP co-founder Patrick Higgins said. The recent drought has caused the Eel River to drop to record lows, and using the water from marijuana cultivation isn't helping. It became pretty apparent in 2012 with temperatures and flow data that a number of streams did lose surface flow. All day Saturday, a field training session will focus on water conservation and soil building strategies at a farm along Lower Salmon Creek. From 5 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, experts will discuss water conservation in gardens at the River Lodge in Fortuna. A similar program will be held from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on June 27th at Heartwood Institute in Garberville. Individuals may also schedule free, confidential 2-hour tours of the property to discuss implementation of responsible horticulture practices. According to an ERRP press release, these consultations are completely confidential. All one must do is grant access permission and take an anonymous survey after the tour. On a note, this tour is by reservation only. Call 707-633-5403 for Humboldt County and 707-972-9503 for Mendocino County for more information. Water extraction for cannabis culture and recent increased water use for rural development appears to be contributing to flow depletion. Also, nutrients from agricultural operations and soil loss due to erosion from site development can leak into streams. Excess nutrients can promote algae blooms, including toxic cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. Field training session will be held near Lower Salmon Creek and will focus on conserving water and soil building strategies. The workshop will include on-site examples and explanations of various methods for conserving and capturing water, including simple gray water systems, no-till and dry farming strategies, sunken pitcher irrigation, swale design and placement, drip irrigation techniques, rainwater harvesting, gully repair to raise the water table, and restoration of native grasslands. The 2 meetings held in Fortuna and near Garberville will also talk about water conservation techniques. Dan Marr of High Tide Permaculture will explain how land contours can be used for water storage and reduce the need for irrigation. Benefits of bioswales and permaculture include reduced energy and water use, groundwater replenishment, and less contamination of streams. Bioswales are catchment systems using bacteria or other organisms to stop nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus from traveling beyond the swale and entering the watershed. While defining permaculture as looking at a piece of land to see where it makes the most sense to plant different things. Representatives from the North Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board and the Water Rights Division of the State Water Resources Control Board will be present at both meetings to answer questions about permits for marijuana farming and water rights, according to the release. The marijuana culture overall has been characterized as uncaring, and that's an understatement, Higgins said, calling cannabis cultivation illicit, sometimes dangerous and irresponsible. But many growers identify with and feel a part of the nature. For more information can be found at ERRP website, www.eelriverrecovery.org, or by calling 707-633-5403 in Humboldt County, or 707-972-9503 in Mendocino County. Citizens in the Eel River watershed may get ERRP assistance with water temperature monitoring by calling 707-223-7200.
In the most sobering study of extinction yet, a team of Bay Area scientists says that animal species are disappearing at an accelerating rate, leading to the 6th mass extinction in the 4.5 billion year history of the Earth. We are entering a mass extinction equivalent to what happened to the dinosaurs, unless conservation efforts are intensified, said UC Berkeley paleontologist Anthony D. Barnowski, an author of the report, which was published Friday. He said if the trend continues, within 2 human lifetimes, we are in danger of losing 3 of 4 species on Earth. The 21st century may mark the end of the line for animals confined to small and shrinking habitats, such as the Yangtze River dolphin or the African black rhinoceros. And Barnowski said their loss may be followed by icons such as elephants and tigers. Also vulnerable are California's state tree, the redwood, the state reptile, the desert tortoise, and the state amphibian, the red-legged frog, and the state mammal, the grizzly bear. They are all moving to same status as the state fossil, the saber-toothed cat. Grizzlies are already extinct in California 3 decades before the legislature named it the state animal in 1953, but more than 1,500 still survive in states as Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. Based on fossil records, the expected rate of extinction of vertebrate species without human activity is 2 per 100 years per 10,000 species. At this rate, 9 species would have been expected to go extinct since 1900, but the actual toll has been far greater. At least 198 vertebrate species have been lost since 1900, 35 mammals, 57 birds, 8 reptiles, 32 amphibians, and 66 types of fish. When the category is broadened to include species that are possibly extinct or extinct in the wild, the total rises to 477. A continued trajectory is like going to the world's most famous museum, say the Louvre in Paris, and slashing with a razor blade 3 out of 4 paintings. In 1 century, we're destroying works of art that evolved over millions of years. There is a broad consensus among scientists that extinction rates have reached their highest levels since the dinosaurs died out 66 million years ago. The 5 great extinctions over 4.5 billion years each depleted 75% or more of all species. But that conclusion has been criticized for using assumptions that overestimate the severity of the extinction crisis. The new findings, published in the journal Science Advances by UC Berkeley's Barnowski and Stanford University's biologists Paul Ehrlich and Gerardo Caballos, support the dire forecast, even though they use more modest rates of extinction. The study shows that without any significant doubt that we are now entering the 6th great mass extinction event. Past mass extinctions were caused by massive volcanic eruptions and an asteroid falling from the sky. Now, humans are delivering the coup de grace, according to the team. We're emitting carbon that drives climate change and ocean acidification. We're also cutting down forests, introducing invasive species, and releasing poisons into the fragile ecosystems. If Earth's population, which is 7.13 billion, stops at 9 to 10 billion by the year 2050, other species stand a chance. But if it shoots up to 16 billion, it's probably not going to work for keeping other species on Earth. While it's not too late to slow the loss of species, the window of opportunity is rapidly closing. Already, the specter of extinction hangs over about 41% of all amphibian species and 26% of all mammals. We don't want to be the generation that wiped out all these species.
On a lighter note, surfing history was made in Huntington Beach this weekend. On Saturday, 66 surfers rode a giant 1,300-pound board, setting a world record for the most people to ride a surfboard. Today you had 66 people. That's a new Guinness World Record, Michael Emprick of Guinness told the surfers and the thousands in the crowd. Welcome to the Guinness World Record holder family. Fiberglass board, designed by Australian board maker Nev Hyman and cut by Rhode Island-based engineering company Moldcam, measures 42¼ feet long, 11 feet 1 inch wide, and 16 inches thick. It was assembled by Santa Ana boat builder Westerly Marine. Kelly Miller, president and chief executive of Visit Huntington Beach, said the board initially was going to cost more than $100,000, but that the estimate is now $70,000 to $90,000. It's been a labor of love by a variety of people from around the world who have already really coalesced around this incredibly epic idea about the world's largest surfboard ridden by the most number of people ever. As you look at the board, it truly is a piece of art, as well as a very functioning, high-performance, record-breaking worthy surfboard. Miller said the safety of the riders was a significant concern. The fins were designed for the board and are exactly what need to have to make sure it can understand the 1,300 pounds of the board and over 10,000 pounds of the riders. We want to make sure the board performs exactly as a high-performance surfboard should. Some officials believe the riders, including professional surfing stars and local service and officials, managed to stay on the board close to 15 seconds. Guinness is still trying to determine whether the board also set a record for the world's largest.
One of San Diego's oldest residents has died. The Los Angeles Times report that the Galapagos tortoise known as Speed has been euthanized at an estimated age of more than 150 years. Speed has been living at the San Diego Zoo since 1933. He was brought to California as part of an early effort to preserve the endangered species from the Volcan Cerro Azul Island of the Galapagos Islands off of Ecuador. The massive tortoise has been in geriatric decline for some time. Keepers treated his arthritis and other maladies with medication, hydrotherapy, physical therapy, and acupuncture. Speed was known in his younger years as an alpha male who would butt heads with other males in dominant skirmishes. 13 Galapagos tortoises still remain at the zoo. We will be right back with your local news after this brief message.
The taxman's taken all my dough and left me in my stately home, blazing on a sunny afternoon. And I can't sail my yacht, he's taken everything I got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon.
Manticorp Tax and Accounting can help you minimize taxation, establish a corporate presence, and save you money. Our over 25 years of experience in domestic and international taxation and incorporation services makes us the best at what we do. Your first consultation at Manticorp is always free, and our discounted rates guarantee you will not end up paying for what you don't get. Try Manticorp today. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@manticorpusa.com.
And welcome back with the local news. A Chico man was found dead inside a vehicle off an embankment on Highway 20 on Wednesday. The incident took place Monday, but authorities have yet to establish the time. Richard Paz Jr., driving a 1998 Dodge Ram pickup, was traveling eastbound on Highway 20 near Witter Springs Road at a high rate of speed, according to California Highway Patrol Officer Chris Tuggle. Paz, 27, reportedly veered off the right side of the road and crashed into multiple trees on the shoulder. Pickup overturned and rolled multiple times, Tuggle stated. Paz, who was not wearing a seatbelt, was thrown out and sustained fatal injuries. The crash site was in densely vegetated area and could not be seen from the roadway. It was discovered by a passerby who notified authorities. Multiple units from CHP and the North Shore Fire Protection District responded. Officers have yet to determine if drugs or alcohol were involved in the incident, which is under investigation by Tuggle.
The Lake County Board of Supervisors unanimously approved the county's recommended budget Tuesday. The county's general fund totals nearly $56 million, which represents an increase of more than $1 million when compared to last year, according to Lake County Chief Administrative Officer Matt Perry. Revenues for the county total a little more than $164 million. Staffing has increased by 37 positions last year, bringing the total to 1,002 positions. Most of these positions are in a non-general fund department such as social services to maximize available state and federal funding, Perry explained. Only selected departments were reviewed during the meeting, as a public hearing will be held on September 2nd to regard the final recommended budget. After the hearing, the final budget is expected to be adopted. Complete budget narratives and staff's final recommendations for each budget unit will be provided in advance of the public hearing. The primary goal at this point is to maintain service levels. According to Perry, many county departments are maintaining the status quo. Museums, libraries, as well as the Building and Safety Department were among those discussed, as they have struggled to maintain service levels in the past few years. Museums, which have been funded with discretionary revenues since 2008's recession, will receive return to being funded with transient occupancy taxes, or TOT, which have started to recover. With the museum curator becoming an active partner in our destination marketing efforts, it is appropriate to begin funding the museum with TOT, Perry explained. A total of $10,000 will be transferred from the county's marketing and economic development budget. The Lake County Library is also partially funded by the marketing budget. Last year, Lake County Library Director Christopher Veach told the board that the library's operating budget was not sustainable and recommended using $50,000 of the library's reserve funds, which totals approximately $150,000, to maintain hours of operation. However, by offering visitor information services, $40,000 from the marketing budget was transferred to the library fund. The same amount will be transferred this year. County overhead is still much higher than usual due to the construction of the Middletown Library and Senior Center, Perry said. A total of a little more than $80,000 in geothermal funds is also being used to offset the increased cost. As for building and safety, a total of a little more than $230,000 will be transferred from the county general fund to preserve staffing levels. Perry said that permit revenues have not fully recovered since the recession, while other costs continue to increase. This is despite the reduction of building inspection staff at the Building of Recession. It will be during the public hearing that complete budget narratives and final recommendations will be presented to the board. Funding for new projects with one-time money will also be discussed during the hearing, as it is premature to add the budget. However, funding for continuing projects were approved with the recommended budget. Projects include the construction of curbs, gutters, and sidewalks on Highway 20 in Clear Lake Oaks, which will be allocated more than $2.6 million. Road and bridge projects, including the South Main Street and Soda Bay Road Corridor project, will account for more than $9.8 million. A total of $3.7 million will go towards capital improvements to existing water systems throughout the county. Improvements to the Lake County Hill Road Correctional Facility will account for more than $3.4 million, of which $1.5 million will be at an interim loan, since state grant funding will be provided on a reimbursement basis. As the budget is still in draft form, some aspects may change between the approved recommendation budget and the final draft in September.
Do you get all that?
Yeah.
Okay. The Board of Supervisors unanimously denied an appeal for an aquatic weed management contract on Tuesday. The appeal, which was submitted by Upper Lake-based Pestmaster Services, stems from the contract being awarded to Clean Lakes, Inc. A total of approximately 230 acres across the lake are treated for aquatic weeds. In previous years, they split the project and hired two contractors, and last year, Pestmaster Services and Clean Lakes were both hired to treat 58.8 acres and 106.15 acres, respectively. However, because of budgetary constraints, the acreage awarded to Pestmaster was reduced, as Clear Lake's fees were $300 to $400 less per acre. This year, the entire project was awarded to Clean Lakes. Staff cannot justify paying 67% more per acre De Leon added, after Pestmaster Services franchise owner Dennis Yowes questioned the company's ability to do the work at such a cheaper price. Drew McNabb of Clean Lakes answered that purchasing herbicides and supplies in aggregate volume was the reason. Yowes also argued that Clean Lake was unreliable, citing an incident from 2011 when Clean Lakes did not perform follow-up treatments in several areas in North Lakeport and along the North Shore. Clean Lakes completed their contracted work, De Leon said. Although the reasons for leaving were plausible, Clean Lakes left our area rather abruptly and without any notice, and we were not pleased with that. The company was not hired for the following 2 years after the incident. In 2014, Clean Lakes entered an agreement with the county, and their work performed in accordance with our requirements. Another point of contention for Yalos was the county's not showing a preference for a local vendor, as Clear Lakes is based in Martinez. However, the county's ordinance for local vendor preference states that competing bids must be within 10% of each other, or a maximum of $10,000. Our board has always been very cognizant to support local businesses, according to District 4 Supervisor Anthony Farrington. The board unanimously approved the contract with Clean Lakes, which will be paid with geothermal royalties and transient occupancy tax funds.
Our financial condition is stable. Clear Lake Finance Director Chris Becknell assured the City Council on Thursday evening. But stable doesn't mean good and it doesn't mean bad. What it means is that the city is currently meeting basic operating needs, but nothing more. The council was in the middle of the reviews of the city's 2015-2016 budget. Thursday marked the second and more refined workshop. Becknell said that the basic operating needs should be met first. These include essential public safety, minimal infrastructure maintenance, and community development needs. The total operating budget for the city is a little less than $6.1 million, with the general fund accounting for approximately $4.3 million. Capital project costs will total a little more than $3.1 million. However, nearly $2 million of those costs will be provided by community development block grants and active transportation programs. The funds will go toward Phillips Avenue and 18th Street projects. As for revenue sources, sales tax accounts for the vast majority of income for the general fund, totaling a little more than $2.3 million. Property tax brings in approximately $770,000. Approximately $400,000 of sales tax is generated by Walmart. Salaries and benefits account for most of the city's expenditures, accounting for a total of approximately $4.6 million. Nearly $735,000, or 16%, is allocated to health insurance, which is the second largest expenditure. Payments to the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, is the third largest cost at approximately $641,000, or 14%. Becknell also addressed staffing increases during the workshop. The Clear Lake Police Department staffs the most positions with more than 30 officers. Public Works, which includes the Parks and Roads Division, has a total of 8 employees. Community Development has 1 position. The remaining 6 positions work in administration. The CPD accounts for 61% of the general fund's department expenses, or approximately $2.7 million. Of that, $2.3 million goes towards personnel. Becknell told the City Council that they would be able to make modifications during the mid-year budget review. However, should changes be made prior to that, a zero-sum computation approach is recommended. Any proposed changes should be offset with spending reduction from elsewhere in the budget. The budget will be brought to the Council at its June 25th meeting for approval.
Anyway,
More money talk.
Yeah, more money talk. Sorry, folks. A county cleanup day is scheduled for Thursday, June 25th at 8 a.m. in Nice. The meeting place is at the end of Pyle Road. Thanks to Coach Goodmanson, Upper Lake High School students will support the first of several cleanup days as part of their community service requirements, and in the process will get first-hand exposure to the problems associated with illegal dumping of trash, according to Supervisor Jim Steele, the organizer of the event. Reports came to him from citizens in nearby neighborhoods and those who enjoy spending time in the hills that form a visual backdrop for our towns, saying they want something done about the trash problems they encounter. Not only is the trash unseemly and can pose health risk, it can end up fouling our streams and ultimately the lake. In some cases, people driving into the hills to illegally dump their garbage are creating erosion problems that also contribute to the deterioration of the lake ecosystem. Steele has been working with volunteers, community leaders, and government officials to curb the destructive nature of these activities. The response to calls for help has been overwhelmingly positive, said Steele. Anyone wishing to help is welcome. In particular, they need trucks to haul the garbage to the landfill. Please bring your own tarps and tie-downs. All other supplies will be provided for volunteers. To sign up or for more information, email Supervisor Steele at jim.steele@lakecounty.gov. countyca.gov, or call Jim at 707-295-6198.
Friday marked the beginning of 10 weeks of outdoor concerts in Library Park, where anyone can listen to the tunes of both local and traveling musicians in this setting evening sun. The 2015 Summer Concert Series, currently in its 28th year, is hosted by the City of Lakeport and produced by KXBX FM 98.3 and made entirely possible by an ever-growing list of sponsors. The Summer Concert Series is free of charge, and it owes its success to many local supporters who set up booths at Library Park for audience members to browse during the shows. The concerts are 100% funded by local businesses through our sponsors, according to Paul Thomas of KXBX. Without our business support, the concerts wouldn't be possible. It's not a one-way relationship, though. Concert goers often head out for shopping and food before or after a show, contributing to the local economy. It brings a lot of people into our downtown area for the restaurants. They're spending their money locally here in town on concert nights. And Thomas, who's been with KXBX for the last 11 years, has seen the positive reaction to the series. Over the years, it's definitely grown in size and in terms of crowd size and sponsor participation. The biggest draw, I think, for the concerts is the location, which is Library Park, and it's gorgeous. In addition to the lake's picturesque setting, high numbers of people turn up for the shows thanks to its family-friendly vibe. It's all ages, and everyone from 0 to 100 comes out and enjoys the concerts. Frequency is also a plus, and it's a destination for people to go on a weekly basis. Locals aren't the only people who head out for the shows. Many of those who own second homes in the county make their way to Lakeport for the weekend when the series rolls around. I think the people come from out of town know of the concerts and have been coming for a while. We have quite a bit of that, of weekend people coming up for the concerts. This series brings a talented local and out of the area musicians, each of whom must send in a demo CD and bio. The organizers rifle through the submissions and pick musicians based on their style and when they last performed at the park. With this criteria, shows are guaranteed to entice audiences no matter their tastes. We have a lot of bands we rotate in and out throughout the years. We also like to make our selections based on the diversity of genre of music. The turnout has much to do with the quality of performance as the price tag. It's a free event and you don't get much for free these days. For the first time in 28 years, the series has something extra to add, which could draw an even bigger audience, food vendors. Though they won't be inside the park, a select number of vendors will set up around the perimeter. While the event itself is not a fundraiser, for the past 5 years, KXBX has raised money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital at each show. Attendees can buy raffle tickets during the first half of the performance, and at intermission, winners are announced. Proceeds from the raffle do go to the hospital. They raise close to $5,000 each summer. Friday's musician was rock and blues singer Brad Wilson, and the show begins each Friday night at 6:30 at Library Park in Lakeport. We will be back with your weather after this short message.
The taxman's taken all my dough and left me in my stately home, blazing on a sunny afternoon. And I can't sail my yacht, he's taken everything I got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon.
Manticorp Tax and Accounting can help you minimize taxation, establish a corporate presence, and save you money. Our over 25 years of experience in domestic and international taxation and incorporation services makes us the best at what we do. Your first consultation at Manticorp is always free, and our discounted rates guarantee you will not end up paying for what you don't get. Try Manticorp today. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@manticorpusa.com.
In the summertime.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals, Providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services, they feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
And we're back, folks. In the weather, last night we had clear skies and a low 57 overnight. This afternoon we're expecting sunny skies with a high of 88. Winds will be southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour through tomorrow. Tonight will be another one with clear lakes and a low of 61. On Tuesday, will give us a mainly sunny sky with a high 91 degrees. Winds will be in the west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour and a low 62 overnight, with winds shifting to the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. When we join you on Wednesday, we'll have sunny skies with a high of 96 degrees and winds to the southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. In sports, Buster Posey hit a grand slam and the Giants got 2 RBIs each from Brandon Crawford and Matt Duffy in the 9-5 win over the LA Dodgers on Friday night. Chris Heston, 7-5, allowed 3 runs, 7 hits, and no walks over 5 2/3 innings in his second start since his no-hitter against the New York Mets on June 9th. The rookie right-hander was coming off a 4-0 home loss to Arizona on Sunday. On Saturday, Justin Maxwell and Brandon Belt hit 2-run homers, and the Giants trimmed the Dodgers' division lead to a half a game with a 6-2 victory. Hudson pitched 6-hit ball into the 7th inning and had a key single for the Giants, who have now won 5 straight over their arch rivals and 9 of 11 this season. But on Sunday, Yasmani Grandal homered twice, Adrian Gonzalez and Justin Turner also went deep, and Los Angeles Dodgers knocked in 2-time Cy Young Award winner Tim Lincecum out of the game in the 2nd inning en route to a 10-2 victory over the SF Giants. All 4 homers came against Yusmeiro Petit during a span of 15 batters after the right-hander relieved Lincecum and raised the Dodgers' NL lead total to 91. In Pettit's 19 previous appearances this season, he allowed 5 home runs in 38 innings. Lincecum retiring only 4 of the 12 batters he faced, including Anderson on a sacrifice bunt. The 4-time All-Star right-hander surrendered 5 runs on 7 hits and was done after 53 pitches in the shortest of his 260 regular season starts in the big leagues by innings pitched. Madison Bumgarner, last year's World Series MVP, goes into Tuesday night's opener of a 3-game set against San Diego, trying to avoid losing 3 straight starts. Sounded like my game yesterday. That's it anyway. Albert Pujols hit a grand slam to highlight an 8-run 7th inning and drove in 5 runs as the LA Angels rallied from 5 runs down to beat the Athletics 12-7 on Friday night. Gray, who took a major league low of 1.6 ERA into the game, was in line for his 9th win until the Angels' outburst. He allowed 6 runs and 5 hits in 6+ innings while matching his career low with 2 strikeouts. The Oakland A's also dodged a potential serious injury in the 4th when he speared Joyce's 2-out line drive just as the ball neared his head. Jesse Hahn pitched into the 8th inning for his 3rd consecutive win. Josh Reddick hit a tie-breaking double in the 6th, and the Oakland A's beat the LA Angels 4-1 on Saturday afternoon, despite committing their Major League's 70th error. Hahn, 5-5, allowed 1 run and 4 hits in 7 2/3 innings. He struck out 4 and walked 4 while winning for the first time in 6 starts this season against teams from the AL West. Yesterday, Tyler Clippard recorded his 12th save in the A's 3-2 win against the Los Angeles Angels. Scott Kazmir, 4-4 on the season, gave up 1 run in 7 1/3 innings before Clippard took over. The A's won the final 2 games of the series between the 2 teams after losing 5 of 6 to the division rivals. Jesse Chavez starts Tuesday in Texas. He struck out a career 11 in his most recent start against San Diego.
And in our final word, a man whose failed Good Samaritan gesture landed him in jail whose failed Good Samaritan gesture landed him in jail is back behind bars. Police in Wyoming County say 31-year-old Christopher Radcliffe, who was trying to get donations for a non-existent foundation on June 8th, the same day he tried to free a man whose leg was chopped over a riding mower. Police say Radcliffe attempted to free the man by pulling the mower with a rope attached to Radcliffe's vehicle. Radcliffe drove forward instead of backward and knocked the man and mower over a 12-foot embankment. The mower landed on the man, who suffered minor injuries. Radcliffe was ticketed for an uninsured, uninspected, and unregistered vehicle. Police say he was later caught with a bag of marijuana. He's in county jail Thursday. Authorities say he doesn't have an attorney.
Thank you for joining us. We will be back this Wednesday at noon, right after Lake County Magazine Talk Show, which starts at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. Our next live program will be Joni Lane on A Positive Light at 3 p.m. today. And don't forget, if you or any of your friends missed the show or any other LCM TV news shows, you can find them at the archives at lakeholmagazine.com/4414/S/LCM-TV 2015-archives. That's a long URL, folks. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger.
Have a good day.